Hello, my friends, and welcome to Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel. The channel where I like to talk about Italy like a place to love and Italy like a place to know. Alright, so what I'm going to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about this magic word that now is on everyone's mouth, let's say, around the world, because this word caused something very big in the world, a shock, an earthquake. So let's investigate more about this magic word that has been brought to our attention all over the world. This magic word called the tariffs. Oh yeah, finally something is moving. All right, no, I'm joking. Anyway, um, obviously, if you were having a look yesterday and the day before to the stock market, we saw a big fall, which I call it yesterday the Black Friday, simply because I wasn't witnessing such a plunge in years. Probably it's since 2001, a big event that occurred in 2001. Anyway, in Italy, the stock market fell of 7% or maybe 6.5%. Anyway, was a big loss. And so the video is about how the tariffs are going to affect Italy, how these tariffs are going to affect the entire world, how these tariffs are going to affect United States. Anyway, many people might not be happy, obviously, but I want to bring to your attention one thing which for me is the most important. That now let's analyze the stock market. First of all, let's start from the stock market, okay? Basically, I've done a video not long time ago talking about the stock market in a bubble, and I talk about the six bubbles. So I've been talking about the stock market, Bitcoin, properties, gold, euro dollar exchange. So everything was in a big bubble. And now I can believe that things can go up forever. Happy days, if things are so fantastic and can go up forever, let's say, well done, it's amazing. And so this was the situation that we were in, simply from 20, but let's say that we had some dynamic situations, but only a month ago the stock market reached a new all-time high, which for me was a bit not really sustainable. Now, what did I notice? Not only now, it's been more than 1 year, or maybe even two, but even five, that I could see the stock market completely detached from the reality. So what I want to say is that yes, we witness a stock market keep going up and up and up and up, reaching all-time high, Nasdaq, Standard and Poor, Dow Jones, the German index, the Italian index, the British index. Everything was like booming. Now, but if the stock market was so fantastic, why the economy in the reality wasn't that much fantastic? These are the questions that we should ask to ourselves. Now, I'm not an economist, but I am someone, I consider myself smart enough because I'm always checking, finding ways how to make money, how to use these tools that are part of the capitalism. So, and why not to use these tools? But the discrepancy for me, the main thing was how detached from the reality was the stock market. So I could see people life hard, day by day. I could see people only complaining. I could see Italy economy not growing at all. All the economies all around the world, Germany is in recession. British economy not doing very bad for the last 2 years. The American economy is doing slightly better than the other one, and then we have such a stock market at these levels. Now, if we use a bit the brain, what do we understand? That before or later we had to have a kind of correction. Okay, for me, up to now, what is happening up to now on the stock markets is not a crash. I just see it at the moment as a correction, because the stock market cannot only go up and up and up and up and up, has to have some corrections time to time. So in what situation are we now? Are we just in a correction? Are we entering in a bear market, or are we entering in a deep recession? Now, we cannot say that we are in a bear market up to now. We cannot say that we are entering in a recession or in a big recession, or even worse, in a huge depression. We cannot even say that at the moment. We can talk about a big correction. Okay, now the thing is that I was expecting this, simply because I was keep repeating to myself, okay, how high this stock market can go? It has to happen something that will, let me say, sparkle this and will give a kind of down movement, a negative movement. And for me, these tariffs were just, let's say, the excuse for all this, for this stock market correction. Because, okay, these tariffs are like a big shock. It's like a big earthquake on the worldwide economy. Now, from one side, we have United States, which is the biggest economy on the planet, no doubt about this. There's China that is doing what it's doing, but it's not at the American level. Okay, there is a big competition, why not, between China and the United States nowadays. There is a financial war, there is an economical war worldwide without two systems. Let's say now the world is divided in two. From one side we have the collective West, and from the other side we have the global South. You probably heard about these two definitions. So the global, so collective West, global South. Anyway, these tariffs for me were just the excuse to give a kind of signal to the stock market. Just why? Why? Because anyway, people are investing. Okay, they see there is a big shock. Okay, what am I gonna do if there is a big shock? Okay, let's take my money out from that. And when people are taking the money out from the stock market, obviously we see a fall. I mean, nothing more, nothing less than that. Then obviously the stock market, if we are clever, if we are smart, we understand that the stock market is not made by little investors. The stock market is made by the hedge funds, by big corporations who are investing millions, if not billions of money. And why not at this in this moment where we were at the all-time high to not cash everything? I mean, for me, an average investor should have already thought this and say, okay, I'm going to take the money out. I made my profit. Why should I keep money in something that in times, in particular in times, so uncertain times, and this, I repeat again, basically when we see that the real life is so disconnected from the stock market trend. Basically, this is where, for me, we had the signals. Now, it's already a month that the stock market reached the all-time high. Since the end of February, since the beginning of March, I start notice that the stock market going down, 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 and obviously, again, I think someone just decide to cash, and then we don't know now this fear that started, how many people now, even small investors, might decide, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna enter now because it's just a correction, so it's time to buy back, or it's just time to take money out? If it's for me, I would just take the money out and that's it. Now, because okay, it's true that it's at the moment it's just a correction. So from Monday it might start going up again and we might see new all-time high. But there is, with these worldwide dynamics, and with the fact that the economy, that people life is not the mirror, is not mirroring the stock market. So from this point of view, I would say no. I would just take the money out from that. Maybe I would find other way to invest money and so on. Again, then these tariffs, now they might cause problems, more problems on top of the problems that we already had in our economy. These tariffs can bring more problems, not in the stock market, in the real life. Okay, so we are talking about our daily routines, our day life. What do I see from this point of view? Now, in the last years, we had huge problems with inflation. And I think that's where we should focus at the moment now. Because clearly these tariffs, by what everyone say, by what all the experts are saying clearly that we're gonna have again an inflation increasing. In particular, for example, in the United States. In the United States, they might face all the imported goods that are coming from China, Vietnam, Italy, France, Germany. Obviously, if you put the tariffs on these products, the American might see, for example, the prices increasing. Now, what are the options for the Americans if they see this price increasing? I'd say that the option is what Trump intention is: buy American. Okay, that's the main thing. Now, if the Americans are smart enough, this is a video mainly for my American friends. If you're an American, now it's not true that American doesn't produce anything anymore. It's true that in the last 40 years, Americans, let's say, stopped producing a lot of goods, just allowing other countries, and they were just buying these goods because they were cheaper. But I would say, for example, if I'm an American now, I would focus on American, buy American, because if the price, if the goods imported are going to be more expensive, the American products should stay at the same price that were before, not increasing that much as the imported goods. And this is the effect that you might have, that we might have on the American daily life. Then here, for example, all these countries that are exporting to United States, they might face other problems. The problems that here we might face is less profit. So less sales to the United States, because don't forget, let's not forget one of the most important things, that United States are the biggest, the Americans are the biggest consumer on the planet. So all the world rely on American people. Americans are buyers. Let's say maybe they're even addicted to buy things. I don't know, maybe more than other parts of the world. Maybe now Americans will start buying less. So obviously this will cause less production in the countries that are exporting to United States. Now, for example, Italy. Italy might face, we might enter, for example, all Europe and other parts of the world, they might enter in a recession. Because if one of the biggest buyers of my goods is buying less, uh, obviously it means that I'm gonna produce less. Then, obviously, what it was another Donald Trump, and not Donald Trump, but the Donald Trump American administration goal was, okay, let's try to move a lot of production back to United States, which makes sense because makes sense to bring the production to United States. For example, yesterday I was reading that already few companies that are selling, few Italian companies like Lavazza, for example, one of the biggest brand for the coffee maker, coffee. Um, so they already said yesterday we're gonna move our production to United States. I mean, the production that, let's say, the American market was 20%, so they're gonna move enough to United States to produce that 20% into the United States. So they're already active, and they knew this. Or Mercedes car, BMW, whatever, let's say, can be produced in the United States to not pay the tariffs. And now, this is one of the most important points for me because as an American, now I'm not an American, but um, the way I'm thinking is, as an Italian, I should think for the best to the Italian, which, for example, the Italian economy, the Italian politicians don't do at all. Zero, absolutely zero. We don't care at all. We gave all the responsibilities to the European community. Your European community is making its own disasters. Italy economy is suffering. Italian people are suffering. So the Italian politicians are not protecting the Italian people. So they are not going into the direction, okay, let's think about the good for the Italian people. From this point of view, I can only say that Donald Trump is trying to bring something in favor of the American people. Now, is it true? It's also true that unemployment level is quite low at the moment. We are not talking about, because if the unemployment level starts skyrocket, I mean, then we enter in recession, depression, and but at the moment there are no signals, for example, of a big loss of jobs. I don't see this as Antonio, and while I'm doing all my analysis, I will say, and then let's go back in 1 year time, but we will see, we won't see an unemployment rate skyrocketing in the United States. Maybe we might see here in Europe. But as an American, you have to think about the good for United States. Now, if these tariffs are pushing a lot of companies to move from Europe or from wherever they are in the world and to move to United States, because United States is the biggest market, and I'm not gonna pay tariffs if I'm producing in the United States. This is bringing more job to United States. More jobs means also increasing salaries. More jobs, more factories, more industries means higher GDP. So, in the end, from my understanding, this is a smart move from the United States. It's a smart move if I'm thinking about, because if I'm American and I'm thinking about the good for all the world and I'm not thinking about the good for the Americans, I mean, okay, you are doing charity all over the world. Happy day, everyone is celebrating because you are doing charity. But at the moment, the people to to who the Americans have done charity, what did they show to the Americans? What did they show to Donald Trump administration? I cannot do this, but I'm gonna say they showed the middle finger. I would be extremely, extremely furious because now in Europe, and because Europe mainly is the problem. If Europe had been the best American partner for the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years, if Europe had been under the umbrella protection of the NATO, for example, militarily, so basically United States were babysitting Europe for the last 80 years. Now, after 80 years, you are not anymore a child. You are a grown baby, I'd say. Then you should be able to walk on your own. But it seems like Europe is not able to walk on its own. Zero, no ability. Without America. And now, instead of cherishing a bit the Americans and say, okay, listen, we understand, which in Europe they should also understand that America is the biggest economy. If the biggest economy goes down as well Europe. Now they should have think in this way for me. Okay, let's support this. I'm not showing you the middle finger. Or I'm not gonna show you the middle finger. I will try to say, okay, let's put these tariffs on. Fair enough, because anyway, you need to protect your economy. You need to protect your own people. You have to protect your own country, which had been abandoned for the last 20 years. The politicians that you had in the United States for the last 20 years, for me, were a pure disgrace. A pure. I'm saying, no one was thinking about the good for the Americans. Okay, giving, and then now I'm entering, okay, some of these politicians, they were giving free money, they were giving allowances. I mean, you cannot focus on people just thinking to have people on your side because you are giving allowances. We had one administration that from 2020 to 2024 nearly doubled the American debt. Nearly doubled the American debt. The American debt in 2019 was 20 trillion. 20,000 trillions, and at the end of 2024, after that mad administration, that for me was 36 trillions. So a debt that in 4 years increased of 16 trillion, 16,000 trillions, and who are paying the interest on the debt? 1 trillion interest a year on that debt. Who is paying? The American taxpayers, not the European. I mean, for me, it's time that to show respect to United States nowadays, because obviously United States are still a strong power. Obviously, if Europe behaves like this, oh my God! And now they even want to show this middle finger to them after having financial protection, economical, military protection, and now they're reacting like this. I would be extremely furious. I can only make worse. I would say to Europe, okay, if I put 20%, I'm gonna double to 40% the tariffs on your goods. Anyway, no, I'm not exaggerating, but for example, the fact that NATO and the Americans were spending a big budget for NATO. Now, could the Americans go bankrupt to protect someone that then is showing you the middle finger? I'd say no. Trump was asking, for example, openly to the European countries, to all the countries in NATO, increase the amount of money you are putting in this union, in this military cooperation, let's call it, And they said no. But now they put the plan to rearm Europe, to create the European army, and so, but as a European. But if you want to create the European army, can you explain me what was the need to have NATO? There was no need. So you could have made your own army 8 years ago, 70 years ago, 20 years ago. No, now they want to detach from NATO after NATO had been the umbrella for the Europeans. I think in Europe, people have lost the plot. I think the plot had been lost with these allowances, with these social welfares. Which I'm not against, but if the economy is doing well, fine, you can give things to people. But if the economy is not doing well, and again, the economy, the stock market was doing very well, but completely detached from the reality, and the reality was doing extremely bad. So I'd say that anyway, we start living particular times, uncertain times. It's important to protect ourselves. Now, doesn't matter where we are. Obviously, as a family, you have to think about your own budget. If it is the time to start spending less because money is not enough, for sure you will start spending less because you don't have more money to spend. Now we are going into a period, we'll see, because maybe from Monday we're gonna start facing again that this was just a correction, a buyback, everything is fine, everything will start opening again champagne bottles, but personally, I don't think so. So it could be a correction, but it could also be, let's say, the beginning of a bear market. That reminds me, for example, March 2000, when the bubble, the dot-com bubble burst. I remember very well that period. And between March 2000 and March 2003, the American stock market lost 70%. So it took 3 years. Then obviously we suffer less than the 2008 recession, for example, because the dot-com bubble wasn't a recession. Now we need to see, we need to study, we need to do the homework, and we also have to protect ourselves where we can. So for me, this was the only move as an American to protect American. I don't see any other options, because the other options would have been, okay, let the American just, because I'm not saying that United States was crashing, but the real life in the United States was quite tough. Taxation very high, insurance is very high. So it's not gonna take a month to fix these things. It's not gonna take 6 months. It's gonna take years. And that's what I'm saying. So between now, the next 2, 3, and 5 years, it's important to stay with the eyes wide open and focus on on our financial things, to think our pockets, because things might not go very well, and in particular, things might not go very well because they were not